Welcome to Phantom Whisper. Please subscribe. In the feudal era of ancient Japan, where honor and duty were the guiding principles of samurai life, there existed a village veiled in mist and secrets. Among its residents was a woman named Onna, whose beauty was as renowned as the cherry blossoms that adorned the landscape. Yet, behind the delicate facade of grace, Onna harbored a secret, a forbidden love that would unravel the threads of her existence. Onna, the wife of a samurai warrior named Takashi, found herself entangled in the embrace of a clandestine affair with a fellow villager named Haruki. Their love, like the delicate petals of cherry blossoms, bloomed in the shadows, concealed from the prying eyes of a society governed by strict codes of conduct. As the moon cast its silvery glow over the village, Takashi, a vigilant guardian of honor, began to suspect the whispers that danced through the wind. The subtle glances exchanged between Onna and Haruki, the lingering touch of forbidden passion. The signs were etched in the fabric of the night. Consumed by jealousy and a sense of betrayal, Takashi confronted his wife in the quietude of their home. The air in the room grew thick with tension as accusations hung in the silence. The flickering flame of a solitary lantern painted dancing shadows on the walls, mirroring the tumultuous emotions that simmered beneath the surface. Takashi, a man driven by a sense of honor, tarnished, unsheathed his katana with a determination that cut through the stillness like a blade through the night. In an act of agonizing retribution, Takashi, blinded by rage and wounded pride, slit open Hana's mouth from ear to ear, an irreversible mark of her perceived transgressions. The once beautiful woman, now disfigured and bleeding, fell to the floor in a grotesque display of shattered love and shattered beauty. The room, tainted by the tragedy, became a haunted chamber of anguish. Onna, left to traverse the thin line between life and death, became an embodiment of sorrow and betrayal. The village, recoiling from the ghastly spectacle, whispered her name with a mix of pity and fear. The tale of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman, was born, a specter cursed to wander the earthly realm, her mutilated visage obscured by a traditional no mask. Generations passed, and the village held the legend of Kuchisake Onna as a cautionary tale, spoken in hushed tones to warn errant children and unfaithful spouses. Yet, as the years marched forward, the legend became more than a mere story. It became a spectral reality, an entity that transcended the boundaries between the living and the dead. In the contemporary era, where skyscrapers touched the heavens and neon lights painted the urban landscape, a young woman named Yuki found herself drawn into the enigmatic folds of the Kuchisake Onna legend. Yuki, a college student with an affinity for folklore and the macabre, stumbled upon the ancient tale during her research on local legends. Intrigued and somewhat skeptical, Yuki delved deeper into the history of Kuchisake Onna. As she unearthed the layers of the legend, the line between myth and reality blurred. The whispers that once lingered at the periphery of the village now echoed in the recesses of her thoughts. One fateful evening, as the moon cast an eerie glow over the city, Yuki decided to visit the village that had birthed the legend. The air was pregnant with anticipation as she wandered through the cobbled streets and ancient cherry blossom trees, seeking the remnants of a story that had transcended time. The village, steeped in a silent melancholy, seemed to hold its breath as Yuki approached the site of Hana's tragic fate. The dilapidated remnants of Takashi and Hana's home stood as a testament to the spectral echoes of a love gone awry. Yuki, guided by an inexplicable force, found herself standing in the very room where the tragedy unfolded. As she gazed upon the shadows that clung to the walls, Yuki felt a subtle change in the atmosphere. Whispers, barely audible, teased the edges of her consciousness. The room seemed to shimmer with a spectral luminescence, and the air crackled with the energy of a presence that refused to be forgotten. In a surreal moment, Kuchisake Onna materialized, a ghostly figure clad in a disheveled kimono, her no mask concealing the horrors beneath. The room trembled with an otherworldly energy as Yuki, frozen in both fear and fascination, faced the embodiment of a centuries-old tragedy. The slit-mouthed specter, her eyes gleaming through the lifeless gaze of the mask, spoke in a voice that seemed to emanate from the depths of the underworld. She questioned Yuki, her words a haunting refrain that echoed through the haunted chamber. "Am I beautiful?" The question, charged with the weight of centuries of pain, hung in the air. Yuki, aware of the consequences that lay in her response, hesitated. The room pulsated with an ethereal tension, the past and present converging in a dance that defied the laws of time, summoning courage from the depths of her being. Yuki spoke words of empathy and understanding. She acknowledged the tragedy that had befallen Hana, the love that had been torn asunder, and the unrelenting sorrow that had given rise to the legend of Kuchisake Onna. In that moment, the room seemed to exhale a collective sigh. The spectral figure before Yuki, rather than embodying vengeance, radiated a profound sadness. The mask, now a symbol of the tormented soul within, shifted as if acknowledging the acknowledgement. As Yuki continued her exploration of the village and delved into conversations with its elderly residents, she unearthed fragments of forgotten tales and suppressed memories. The truth, veiled by layers of fear and superstition, began to emerge. A narrative of love, betrayal, and a curse born from the unforgiving blade of a samurai's katana. Driven by a newfound sense of purpose, Yuki sought to break the curse that bound Kuchisake Onna to the earthly realm. Guided by the whispers of the village elders, she embarked on a journey to uncover a forgotten ritual, an ancient ceremony that held the key to redemption. The ritual, a delicate dance between the living and the dead, required Yuki to confront the vengeful spirit and unveil the truth that held her captive. Armed with a ceremonial dagger and the echoes of the village's tragic history, Yuki returned to the room where Hana's fate had been sealed. The encounter unfolded in a symphony of sorrow and release. Kuchisake Onna, her spectral form illuminated by the flickering flame of a lantern, faced Yuki with a mixture of trepidation and hope. The room, once a chamber of anguish, now bore witness to a redemptive dance that transcended the confines of mortality. As Yuki performed the ancient ritual, the air trembled with a potent energy. Shadows danced along the walls, and the mask that veiled Kuchisake Onna's face seemed to lose its oppressive weight. The room resonated with the haunting melody of forgiveness and liberation. In a climactic moment, Kuchisake Onna's form shifted, her spectral essence released from the shackles of centuries-old anguish. The mask, no longer a barrier, but a vessel of the soul within, cracked and fell away, revealing the face of Hana, the woman who had loved and suffered, now free from the eternal torment that bound her. The room, once haunted fell into an eerie silence. Yuki, now alone in the presence of the liberated spirit, felt a sense of closure and melancholic relief. The legend of Kuchisake Onna, once a tale of horror and despair, had transformed into a narrative of redemption and release. As Yuki emerged from the village, she carried with her the weight of a story that transcended time. The whispers that had haunted the cobbled streets now echoed with a sense of closure, and the cherry blossoms, once witnesses to a tragedy, bloomed with a renewed vibrancy. The legend of Kuchisake Onna, though forever etched in the annals of the village's history, had found its conclusion. A tale of love, betrayal, and the redemptive power of acknowledging the sorrows that bind the living